Hi guys, in this edition of Life at 50, I bring you guys up to speed on all you need to know about COVID-19 in less than 12 minutes. Cheers.
Let's first talk about what is a coronavirus. A corona means crown, and this is so because under an electron microscope, the virus looks like a crown as you see here. Significant coronaviruses which infected man up to now are the SARS virus in 2003, which caused severe acute respiratory syndrome, the Middle East respiratory syndrome virus or MERS virus in 2012, and now the COVID-19 virus in 2019. Some simple statistics for you. The SARS virus caused 774 deaths for a fatality of 9.6%, while the Middle East respiratory syndrome virus has a higher fatality of 34%, and the current COVID-19 virus fatality rate is only 3%. Let's not forget the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic that was caused by influenza virus, not a coronavirus, and it infected 300 million or one-third of the world's population, causing deaths in at least 50 million people worldwide. To put things in perspective, the current COVID-19 virus pandemic has caused 83 million infections worldwide and 1.8 million deaths. While in Malaysia, as of 30th December, there were 110,000 infections with 463 deaths with a case fatality rate of 0.4%. According to researchers in China, the most common symptoms of people having COVID-19 were fever, fatigue, cough, lack of appetite, body aches, shortness of breath, and mucus or phlegm. Some rarer symptoms were sore throat, headache, chills with rigor, loss of smell or taste, congestion, running nose, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. According to the CDC or Center for Disease Control, droplet spread can happen when droplets from the cough or sneeze of an infected person are propelled for a short distance, generally up to 3 feet, through the air and deposited on mucous membranes of the mouth, nose, eyes of the person who are nearby. The virus also can spread when a person touches a surface or object contaminated with infectious droplets and then touches his or her mouth, nose, or eyes. Also importantly, you can see at distances of more than 1 meter or 3 feet, the amount of virus in the droplets drops significantly, thereby reducing the risk of transmission.
Thus, the risk of getting infected by touching virus-infected objects like door handles or restrooms is very low. Furthermore, the virus is easily inactivated by high temperature and common disinfectants.
What is important in COVID-19 infections are the fact that the patient is actually infectious up to 2 days before he develops symptoms, and that's when a lot of transmission occurs to colleagues or friends.
Well, you can see from this graph of viral load versus time that the highest rate of infection is between day -2, 2 days before symptoms occur, till up to 5 days after symptoms appear. Most patients get symptomatic within 5 days of being exposed to the virus, but rarely can go up to 14 days, hence the quarantine period of 14 days.
What is significant here is the fact that the 2003 SARS virus infection was easily controlled and the pandemic brought to halt because these viruses were only infected during the symptomatic period and not during the incubation period, where most of the transmission occurs, unlike the COVID-19 infections. This chart of fatality rate versus infectious rate shows you the difference in the mortality, highest being MERS virus, then SARS, and finally the coronavirus.
I'm sure you all know this by now. Hand sanitizers or adequate hand wash for 20 seconds, keeping 1 meter apart and wearing a mask. Being in a room with fresh air can reduce the risk of infection from particles by over 70%, as fresh air dilutes the COVID-19 particles.
The clinical staging of a COVID-19 infection can range from 1 to 5. 1, 2, 3 being the mild form, which they are asymptomatic or mildly symptomatic, while stage 4 and 5 are the severe form. Stage 4 meaning they require extra oxygen, and stage 5 is when they have multi-organ involvement and need to be in an ICU or maybe even ventilated. As you see in this chart, the mild form is actually the effect of the virus attacking the body, while the severe form is actually when the body gets rid of the virus, but then the body starts attacking its own cells and causes a host inflammatory response. That means the body attacks its own cells, causing multi-organ damage. Apart from the usual treatment, symptomatic treatment, the specific treatment for COVID-19 includes anticoagulation, which means using blood thinners, antivirals to kill the virus, and steroids when the body starts attacking its own system. Patients are discharged 10 days after symptom onset and if they are 24 hours symptom free. That's when they are considered cured. Diagnosis of COVID-19 can be on 3 forms of tests. One is PCR based test or polymerase chain reaction based test, where small amounts of viral genetic material are detected. Rapid antigen test, which detects the presence of viral proteins. And finally, antibody test, which actually tests the level of antibodies formed by the body to fight the infection. Just one word of caution about the PCR test. The PCR test can remain positive long after a patient has stopped being infectious. This can be for an average of 17 days and even up to 83 days. Taking a sample from a nasal passage for COVID-19 is a quick procedure and is not very painful. The rapid antigen test can be done in almost any lab. It is quite a simple procedure. There is a test kit which we use to get the result. Basically, the advantage of it being quick is outweighed by the disadvantage for it being not so sensitive. It only detects about 80% of positive cases. You can see the nasal swab here is dipped into a buffer solution that's being done now, and then this buffer solution, 3 drops of it are dropped into a test kit, and after 30 minutes you get the reading whether it's positive or not.
Then 3 drops.
3 drops.
Yeah. Okay. Then set 30 minutes.
You can see here this result is negative because there's only one control line positive. The RT-PCR is the gold standard test. It's the most difficult but most accurate test, but it requires specialized labs. After the sample from the nose has arrived at the lab, the RNA of the virus is converted to DNA by an enzyme reverse transcriptase. After that, this DNA is then amplified in a real-time PCR machine. Once the sample is put into a real-time PCR machine, this machine cycles through hot and cold cycles until the DNA is amplified enough for it to show fluorescence, which is picked up by a reader. Now this fluorescence level is picked up real time while the machine is spinning cycles. That's why it's called real time PCR technology. The fluorescence reading is measured real time according to the number of cycles, and once the fluorescence reading reaches a certain level, certain threshold, then the test is positive for COVID-19. This is a tedious test to do and only can be done in specialized labs, and it takes 6 to 8 hours for a result once it reaches the lab. The lower the cycle threshold value or CT value, that means the higher the viral load and higher the amount of virus in the patient sample. And a CT value of less than 40 is positive for COVID-19 infection.
The antibody blood test just tells you whether the patient has been exposed to COVID-19. It doesn't tell you whether the patient has recovered or is still having the infection. Antibodies can be detected only for 90 days. So there is no lifelong immunity after a COVID infection.
So how do mRNA vaccines work? The vaccine actually spurs healthy cells to produce the viral proteins that stimulate a potent immune response. This is the coronavirus seen here with spike proteins on it. What scientists have done is they've taken the mRNA sequence from the spike proteins, generated it, enclosed it in a lipid coating, and then after that this forms the base of the vaccine, which is injected into the patient. Once it's injected into the patient starts producing the spike proteins or mRNA sequences, and when this is done, the body detects this as a foreign antigen, and so the body starts producing antibodies against the spike proteins and therefore confers immunity to the patient from future COVID-19 infections. The AstraZeneca or Oxford vaccine is another vaccine available. It is a DNA vaccine. It is a viral vector vaccine. What it means is scientists have taken a virus which causes the common cold in chimpanzees but doesn't affect humans, and have enclosed the coronavirus spike gene into this virus. And when this attenuated virus is injected into the patient will then develop antibodies to the spike protein, and this confers immunity. The advantage of the AstraZeneca Oxford vaccine is it can be stored at room temperature, unlike the Pfizer vaccine, which has an mRNA vaccine which has to be refrigerated at cold temperatures. So preserving the cold chain can be a problem there.
The side effects of these vaccines are very mild, and it should be quite safe to take it once it's available. So currently Malaysia has ordered the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine and the Pfizer mRNA vaccine, which will be arriving soon in the next coming months. Guys, I hope that you enjoyed that short update on what's happening with coronavirus in our country. Cheers from this episode of Life at 50.